This is TWiT.
Let's talk about Apple. Apple has an employee who specializes in making fake humans sweat.
Synthetic
sweat. That you chose that lead.
Well, now you understand how important it is that you test things like fingerprint readers and so forth. It's extremely.
I met a guy who his job was he made synthetic urine.
And what was
he sold it to companies that would do drug tests and other things like that, and they needed just urine to sample things with, and he was making synthetic urine. And I'm like, that's the craziest job I've ever heard.
So Apple released, believe it or not, an Earth Day video about, well, why Apple makes its own sweat.
I actually ended up creating a whole subsection of my team that's just focused on skin safety. Really what they're trying to do is to make sure that our products won't harm human health or the environment.
Do they test it if you lick it?
Apple Watch Band. Immerse it into something like artificial sweat.
This is the funny part. We use fake human sweat. We want to mimic actual use conditions, but we're not going to go around collecting sweat from our employees.
Our lab was like, well, we can do this a lot better if we just make our own sweat. And so every day they make up a new batch of sweat. And there's one guy in our lab. And
all right, this is way too much about Apple, though. I don't need. Actually, these are great. These are their Earth Day videos. I think this is actually cute. It's very cute.
I can actually respect the Earth Day videos because they finally did something that I harp about all the time when Apple says all the great things they do for the world. They're going to start using recyclables instead of destroying the planet to get
They say no more mining. No more mining.
Yeah.
I love that.
I mean, that is a long-term goal for them, but I mean, they have been working towards it for a very long time. Like this is not just something where out of the blue they're like, you know what, guys, now we're going to start being responsible. Like Apple has been on this track for about 20 years. And I mean, you can see it in all of the things that they've done pretty much since 1999 onward. But this is I think a much more public stand. I mean, Lisa Jackson was on John Gruber's Daring Fireball this weekend. Lisa Jackson, who's of course the SVP of the environmental technologies. And I mean, the fact that they're willing to talk so publicly about this, not only what their plans are in the future, which is a very un-Apple thing, but also let's tell you all of the ways that we're doing this, to me shows that Apple's committed not only to making this for their own products, but kind of being a guiding post, right, for the rest of the technology world, basically saying, hey guys, like we know that you don't like us because we make our products so that they're, not necessarily user repairable, but we have a reason for that. And we're going to try and still use all of those parts and make sure that those parts don't end up in a landfill somewhere.
Apple can obviously control its, Foxconn, the people assembling the phone, but it's been notoriously difficult for them to control the supply chain. And so there are parts in all smartphones that use rare and exotic minerals that are mined by children in the Congo, for instance. So, and Apple's, to their credit, done everything they can, I know, to go up that supply chain and make sure that everything's done as responsibly as possible. But there's only so much they can control. So I think this is, and it's the right thing to do. I mean, I have to say,
it is.
The trend among not just Apple, but all of these phones, Apple's phones aren't recyclable by any normal recycler, nor is this S8. I mean, they're glued together. Everything's very tightly. You can't just grind it up and burn it. You really need, as Apple did, it built a robot, Liam, to disassemble its iPhone. I doubt Liam's in widespread use, but that illustrated how difficult it would be to recycle its stuff. So I think they should do this. Yeah.
I don't want to sound like it's just an Apple thing. It is a multi-company corporation thing. And I just appreciate them coming out and saying it out loud and more forward, because at the same time, there's still a company that does what they do and how they need to do it and get it done. So for 20 years of them being, recyclable, and then the things are less taken apart. I like the fact that they've actually made this statement and they're moving forward in a more aggressive manner than the ho-hum, hey, we're trying to save the earth approach that they slide under the radar
Well, as long as it's not lip service. Yeah, as long as they're genuinely going to do this, I agree. Yeah.
Yeah.
If they do, it'll put pressure on others, right? To do the same. That's what we've seen. We did an award-winning story in 2014 on we had people on the ground in Democratic Republic of Congo that looked at what was really happening, and beyond that was when the story was kind of hot with conflict minerals, and looked at the real consequences, human consequences to the ways that these things are not only mined but also recycled, because a lot of the stuff gets sent back there and burned and shipped and separated and all of that, and the human consequences are real, and that story becomes a lot closer to home when you understand that, and you understand that these things that I buy, end up, harming people, in consequences that have consequences that you never intended. And so, hats off to them. It's overdue, not just for them, but for the industry. And it is good to see them taking a leadership position. And I think it will affect others.
Again, that's the best part of it, is that they're going to put pressure on other companies, again, coming out and being more public about it, because I understand that they have to have these materials and they have to come from somewhere. But as they progress to making, especially Apple leading the way of making their devices unswappable, unchangeable, you can't swap out batteries, you can't swap out and put an SD card in it. Apple products are starting to have a one and done shelf life, and they do have a lot of places you could drop stuff off, as Best Buy, vis-a-vis, or something like that. But again, a lot of things don't end up in the places that they need to be to get recycled. So them making a statement just puts more force on other people. And that is something I'm really excited about, because it's something we always look over. Oh, solar's the next best thing. Where are they getting all the materials for the solar panels again?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
They're blowing up holes in the ground and disturbing water and lakes and streams. But it's cool. We need the solar because we're all about clean energy. So, I mean, it's always a tit for tat as far as the planet's concerned. So any effort is a great effort to me.